G'day guys. So, being the techno nerd that I am, I couldn't go past getting myself one of these when they came out on the market. This is the Cell-Fi Go. And these are a phone range booster. So they'll actually boost the signal where you are if there is any signal to be boosted. Now, these are the only ones on the market at the moment that are legal and authorized by Telstra. Everything else at the moment is illegal. In fact, these can actually be turned off by Telstra if they choose to, if there's an emergency or anything like that. And as far as the unit goes itself, there's not a lot to it. There's a power jack there. Down the bottom here, you plug in the internal antenna in the car, so the phone signal will actually get boosted to this antenna. And then up the top here, you plug in your external antenna, which in my case is mounted on my bull bar. Now, there's not a whole lot to these units. There's also a couple of LED lights there which show what it's doing at the current time, because you can have it on 3G, 4G or automatic, because it can only boost one band at a time. As far as mounting, there's not a lot to it. I'll show you how I've mounted mine. So personally for me, the best spot to mount the Cell-Fi Go is behind the driver's seat on my cupboard here. This is just plywood, so just screws straight in. I've hardwired the power supply here into my electrical system, which is already here. And then I've got my internal antenna hooked up here and my external antenna hooked up there. So as far as install goes, there's not a whole lot to it. As far as the external antenna is concerned, I just decided to mount it on the bull bar because it's just the easiest spot for me to put it. And previously I used to have an external antenna for a cradle system, which also used to give me better range, but the Cell-Fi Go is just next level stuff. So the Cell-Fi Go has an app, thankfully. And as you can see, we're getting a boost of 9 at the moment. 9 is ideal. And you can also see what the input signal is at the moment, which is pretty much 1 bar. Now that kind of jumps between 8 and 9 boosts, but 9's pretty good. If you're getting 1, that's pretty shocking. So when you're installing the internal antenna, you want as much isolation as possible from the external antenna. So that means it's differences of height and also just pretty much as many metal objects and other things being in the way of the two antennas. So for me, I used the app when I was doing this, and you pretty much just move the internal antenna around until you get a boost of 9 pretty much. So for me, I ended up installing mine just there underneath the steering wheel. And that's proven to be a really good spot as well, so that when it's in my phone cradle, it's nice and close as well. Okay, so you got the Cell-Fi Go installed and you're out in the bush. How well does it actually work? Well, at the moment I'm camped on the Blackwood River down south, and there is no service anywhere around this area without the Cell-Fi Go. So let's have a look. At the moment we're on 9 boost, and as you can see we've got 4 bars, 5 bars, and we got internet as well. Just go into the SIM card status. So there you can see we're at kind of minus 75, hopping up and down a little bit, but anyway, we got good service. So let's turn it off and see what happens to the signal. And it just dropped like a stone, minus 113, which pretty much means no signal. So it'll probably take a little while for the bars at the top to update. So it's taken about a minute for the phone to realise that it's got no signal, but as you can see at the top now, it's got the indicator there, notification that there is no signal at all, which is confirmed by the signal strength, which is minus 113, which means there's squat all. So it's pretty awesome. If you just give me a minute, I'll boot it back up and we'll see what we get, eh? So I've booted the unit back up now, and we're sitting at about 4 or 5 bars, and we have internet. So as I said, there's no other service in this area normally. It's all the Cell-Fi Go, otherwise this is a dead area. So this unit is absolutely awesome. Now you won't get service everywhere. The best way to check if there is a possibility you're going to have service is check the Telstra map. So the Telstra coverage map, I'll put a link for that in the description down below. And I'll actually show you now because I've got internet. So these aren't going to give you signal everywhere, unfortunately, but the Telstra coverage map is just a really easy indicator to see where you have signal and where you won't. In our current location right now, there is absolutely no signal for about 400 meters, yet I have 5 bars and I was able to load up this internet page with the Cell-Fi Go. That's pretty epic. So it's not a miracle, but it'll give you signal in a lot more places than you'd normally have it. So yeah, definitely something to think about if you head out into the bush a lot and like your signal. There's a couple of reasons you might want it. Maybe you want to check the weather. Maybe you want to check Instagram if you're addicted. Or maybe you follow sports and have to know whether the Dockers lost or won. I don't know. Anyway, great thing to have. Catch you next video, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See yous. Admittedly, the price tag is pretty high, but I'll let you guys find that out for yourselves if you actually want one.